What is up, YouTube? I'm DaVinci, leader of the Renaissance crew, and you're about to watch DaVinci Reacts. Today, we're getting into another episode of OverSimplified. This is the French Revolution Part 1. I'm looking forward to seeing this because I don't know a lot about the French Revolution. Like, I know that it was motivated by the American Revolution. Part of that has to do with French actually helping us win our independence in the late 1700s. And I mean, the fact that they didn't really have any money, but they were still kind of, or at least the upper class was still kind of flaunting it, kind of wasn't the best message to send. But I will go ahead and get into more of the details with this video because, like I said, I don't know a lot about it, and this will be the first time I actually sit down and actually study it. I'm sure they probably mentioned something about it in school, but one thing you should know about American schools is after you get out of that grade or out of that like once you graduate, all that stuff just goes right out the window. You just forget about all of it. Only way to really learn stuff is to do it the old-fashioned, traditional way. Through YouTube videos, goddammit. That's how you learn stuff. But anyway, this video, I believe he's always sponsored by NordVPN. So if he does have any advertisements, I will leave them in the description box down below. So you can click on it and go and support him through this channel as well as his own. I will leave a link for their channel at the end of this video that you can click on and go straight to their YouTube channel. You can subscribe to them and do all the other good stuff. And I will leave a link for the original video in the description box down below so that you can watch the video without me pausing or talking over it, because I might end up pausing a lot with these type of videos. But anyway, this is a long video, 17 minutes. I just looked at the time. I did not realize it was that long, so let's go ahead and jump into it right now.
This video was made possible by NordVPN. Get protected by clicking the link below and get an amazing 75% off. That's only $2.99 per month with an additional month free for a limited time.
At some point, I gotta get a
French
VPN.
Revolution merch available now in the store, including King Louis and Marie Antoinette character pins, complete with detachable heads.
Wow.
Just like the real thing. So I said to the Marquis de
Dirty.
Lafayette, "What do you think I am? Some dirty peasant? I've never worked a day in my life." Wow, that Marie Antoinette sure is pretty. Sure is. Wouldn't want to be Prince Louis, though. That's going to be a lot of responsibility when he becomes king, especially since France is in financial ruin. Quite. Thank you one and all for attending the royal marriage
King
of my
Louis
grandson,
XV.
the future King of France, to the Archduchess of Austria. Now for the very awkward yet historically accurate part of the ceremony, where we all watch them get into bed together. All right, now that's out of the way, let's leave the royal couple to it. You better give us an heir, you fat, ill-bred boy.
Damn.
Nighty-night. That's gonna be a lot of responsibility. France is in financial ruin. You fat, ill-bred boy. Quite. That's gonna be a lot
Quite.
of responsibility. France is in financial ruin. Fat, ill-bred boy. Quite. That's gonna be a lot of responsibility. Oh, great. He's a freaking weirdo.
Wow.
France, the most prosperous, cultured, and beautiful nation in the world, as it had been for centuries. An exquisite social culture, with the king and the upper classes throwing crazy parties every night, enjoying high living and fine dining. Who cares that they were only able to do so off the backs of the hard-working, starving poor? What are they gonna do? Revolt? They're only 80% of the population. No. Life in France is great. What's that, France? You want to go to war with Britain and increase your power? Go for it, little buddy. You do you. And you lost. Now you're in severe financial debt. We have no money. What do we do? Should we stop partying? Heck no. Party harder. That's okay. The peasantry will pick up the slack. They were created by God to do all the work, and you were created to reap all the benefits and party hard. That's just how society works, and we've all just accepted it for centuries. Why? Why what? Why do the nobility get to be all rich and stuff? Just
See, I always thought that the clergy would. I always thought the clergy represented
how society works, and we've all
Yeah, that's all about to say religion. So I guess I was right. I saw it up there, and I was thinking like clergy also means like upper class, but I guess back then the religious were the upper class because what they said really went. I guess even like the Pope and people like that could speak above kings because they were supposed to be like the representation or the voice of God in a way. Peasantry, middle class, everyone else. So there was no middle class. It was just like, if you aren't related to somebody extremely rich, you're automatically in this category.
Just accepted it for centuries. Why? Why what? Why do the nobility get to be all rich and stuff?
Beer in the
because
face.
They were born into
That's cool.
it? And the rest of us schmucks just have to accept that? Hell, why do we even need a
It's
king?
cool.
Who decided
More
that?
beer.
It all just seems very unfair and unequal, and I, for one, am starting to question it.
Oh yeah, just
Wow.
all in my face.
That's very enlightened of you. And so began the Age of
I'm gonna
Enlightenment.
pause it again. Damn it, I just missed it. Someone please identify who this person is. I know he's in a lot of the memes, and there are some hilarious memes, but, well, I guess I could just look it up. But at this point, by the time I upload it, I'll probably have forgotten. So if you happen to know who it is, or if you do a quick search or whatever, just leave it in the comment section down below. I'll continue to do the search from there. Just give me the tools to start the search. And I wonder who this is. This looks like a very interesting painting too. Could be another thing worthy of a meme, but I don't recall ever seeing this one.
Age of Enlightenment. Great philosophical thinkers across France and beyond began to question whether this beautiful nation was really all that beautiful.
The Age of Enlightenment is what followed the
Prince Louis,
Renaissance.
Bad news. Your grandpop died of smallpox this morning, which means good news. You're now the king. So just
Pause it again. I will go back. The Age of the Renaissance was succeeded by the Age of Enlightenment, which is why in my videos by saying, and you've just been enlightened, because the Renaissance is over and the Enlightenment has begun. Get it? That's just a little tidbit.
really all that beautiful, after all. Hey, Prince Louis, bad news. Your grandpop died of smallpox this morning, which means good news, you're now the king. So just to sum up, France is in severe financial debt, and the angry populace are beginning to question how necessary you are. But hey, I believe in you, champ. You got this. Maybe. Oh no! Prince Louis Capet became King Louis XVI in May 1774. He was a notoriously weak man, and he knew it. He barely had the wisdom to rule a nation, never mind one in crisis, and he was easily manipulated by those around him. One of his first acts was to try to get revenge on the British by financing their American colony's revolution. Hey, we're an independent nation now. That was real swell of you, Louis. Couldn't have done it without you. Glad I could help. So hey, about all that money we lent you, when can we get that back? Yep, you're a great guy. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Real glad I could help, friend, but about that money, gotta go now, chump. Best of luck to you. Now France was in even more debt. France's poor, suffering under the strain of economic ruin, watched as the nobility continued to live as though nothing was wrong. In particular, they grew increasingly disdainful of the queen, Marie Antoinette, as she continued to spend all of France's money on her own luxurious lifestyle and fashion, while the peasants were breaking
Elephants
their
gotta look
backs in
good,
the
though.
fields. She was walking around like, hey, my hair is a boat. I'm not making that up. Her hair really was a boat, and her lavish spending earned her the nickname Madame Deficit. And speaking of the queen, there was also a long-standing scandal around the fact that the king took a very long time to boink her, and the working classes of Paris began ridiculing the royal couple with lewd pamphlets
Demonetized.
depicting the queen as a court thought, and the king as a wuss, unable to fulfill his marital duty. Respect for the monarchy was at an all-time low, as France's finances were spiraling out of control, and the king and his aides really only had one solution to the crisis. Tax the poor. Tax the poor. We could do a sexy calendar shoot. Tax the poor. And so it was. The poor, who were already struggling to make ends meet,
Hey, a Marie
found themselves
Antoinette
being
photo
taxed
shoot would
from
probably
every
sell.
direction. Hey, I'm the royal tax collector. Looks like you've yet to pay your income tax, head tax. By the way, how many windows you got in that house of yours? 3? Oof, yep. There's gonna be a tax for that. Hey, your local priest here, have you paid your church tithe yet? Well, at least this one is going to the good work of God. Sure. God. This year, God wants me to buy a new swimming pool. Hey, private tax collector here. Oh, and I brought some goons with me. Just a few quick questions. How much salt did you buy this year? About 7 kilos, I think? Yep. Okay, there's gonna be a tax for that. Oh, what's that over there? And that's extra salt I held over from last year, so I wouldn't have to buy as much this year. Oh, yep, there's a tax for that. And what are you doing with all this salt? Well, obviously cooking. On the table. Yep. And preserving fish and meat. Oh no. Yep. And there's a tax for that. Hey, how old is he? He's 9. And so he's purchased his required amount of salt for this year, right? What? No, he's 9. Uh-oh. Sorry, little Timmy. Looks like I'm gonna have to tax you for that. Yeah, salty. There's going to be a tax for that. And that's not all. A huge portion of the peasants' harvest had to be given up. And there was also the labor tax, where peasants were required to work a certain number of days for their local lord without pay. Obviously, people weren't too happy with these taxation policies, and the aggressive nature of these private tax farmers sometimes even escalated to violence. In particular, though, the people really
back didn't get no action in.
Inconsistent the taxation rules were across the nation, and also the fact that the first 2 estates often had to pay very little, if any, tax at all. And so, the anger continued to grow. France had a population that was just about ready to explode. What could push them over the edge? How about a touch of natural disaster? A series of harsh summers and winters left the peasants' harvests in ruin, meaning they had no food or money, and the cost of bread skyrocketed. Of course, the upper classes had massive stocks of grain and wheat, so they were virtually untouched by this new crisis. But now the poor really were starving, and they began to riot. Women took to the streets, bakeries were raided, and bakers suspected of keeping bread for themselves were sometimes even hanged. Wow,
well, damn.
This is really getting out of control. Your Majesty, we need some decisive action. You need to step up and lead us. What will you do? Okay, I've got this. I know. I'll summon the estate's general, and they'll decide what to do. You really are a fat, ill-bred boy. The estate's general was the closest thing France had to a government, apart from the king. It was a purely advisory body, and was rarely summoned. In fact, it hadn't been summoned for 175 years prior to this. But with France in a severe crisis, the king felt the time was right to call on the government to help.
That's what's the point of having it.
The general was made up of representatives from the 3 estates, that is, the clergy, the nobility, and everybody else. Okay, thanks for coming, everyone. The first order of business is regarding the clergy and nobility. You all get brand new Porsches. You get a Porsche, and you get a Porsche, and you get a Porsche. Everybody gets a Porsche. And now into the second order of business. France is completely out of money. Like, it's never been this bad before. Anyone got any ideas? How about we all get Lamborghinis next time? The king decided that in order to make a decision, they had to come up with a voting system. Okay, the clergy. You have a population of 130,000, so you'll get 1 vote. The nobility.
Y'all better stop fucking with the clergy. They dressed up like Attack on Titan characters. They about to fuck up everybody's day.
So you'll get 1 vote. The nobility. You have a population of 350,000, so you'll also get 1 vote. And the third estate. You have a population of 27 million people and make up 98% of the population. Very impressive. You'll get 1 vote. The third estate were obviously pretty unhappy with this system because they kept on finding that this would happen. We propose to raise taxes on the third estate. All in favor? All opposed? 2 to 1. Taxes will be raised on the third estate. We propose a motion that says the first 2 estates are a bunch of poo-poo heads. All in favor? All opposed? 2 to 1. It's official. We are not poo-poo heads. The third estate
them Lambos ready.
That reform would be outvoted by the 2 upper estates, and they thought that was kind of lame. So they decided that since they were 98% of the population, they could go off to form their own government, make their own laws, and take over the running of the country. And so, the National Assembly was born. The third estate was now in control, and there was nothing the king could do to stop. Ha! I've locked you all out of your building. What are you gonna do about it? We'll probably go find a different building.
I mean, to be fair, they did, based on what this is saying, because I know a lot of times OverSimplified will either go over some stuff or they will end up missing something or just leaving something out. But at least they went about trying to find another way to fix their problems before they jumped to violence. I mean, well, they already kind of did jump to violence with the hunger and hanging bakers and stuff like that. But besides that, why y'all bringing up old shit? I'm talking about stuff right now. Pay attention. Come back. But, yeah, I mean, they started their own little government and tried to take care of things their own way. Like, okay, fine. Y'all have y'all shit. We'll do our own thing. But then the government just kind of dragged them out of it. So desperate times call for desperate measures.
The third estate was now in control, and there was nothing the king could do to stop. Ha! I've locked you all out of your building. What are you gonna do about it? We'll probably go find a different building that isn't locked. Ow, no! The National Assembly did find another unlocked building just down the road, an indoor tennis court. We're on the 20th
I love
of
the
June,
timing,
1789.
how it
They
cuts
all
out in the
took
middle
the
of him
tennis
saying it.
court
It's funny.
oath, pledging to continue meeting until the king finally gave in to their demands for more equality and economic reform. This new National Assembly included many of the most educated members of the Third Estate, including two young lawyers by the names of Maximilien Robespierre and Georges Danton. Some members of the first two estates even joined their cause. Some of these men formed a radical new political party called the Jacobin Club and quickly became leading figures. While many members of the Third Estate simply wanted more equality, a growing number in this Jacobin faction would begin calling for something even crazier: the removal of the king entirely. And this is where fear began to take hold. With such a volatile situation developing, everyone was afraid of something. The king feared his position was under threat, and he called in the military to take position around Paris. The Third Estate heard rumor of the gathering military force, and they feared the king was planning to round them up and arrest them. Maybe he'd even execute them. It also didn't help that the king had just dismissed France's popular finance minister, who had been trying to make reforms himself. It seemed the king was done negotiating. Fear, left unchecked, often boils over into anger, and anger detonates with violence. The angry people
And the
of
violence
Paris,
leads
after
to the
centuries
dark
of cruel
side.
inequality, harsh oppression, even starvation,
Not exactly, but
fearful
close.
of having their new movement for reform demolished so soon, decided that it was now or never to take action. Screw reform. They decided they'd do one better. How about revolution? The people of Paris, believing the French military was preparing to attack, decided they should arm themselves. The National Assembly announced the creation of a bourgeois militia, the National Guard, and immediately, many troops from the French military defected over to the revolutionary side. In the early hours of July 14th, 1789.
See, the funny thing is, it's based on how this sounds. If communism had been a thing at the time, it seems like France would have fallen to communism. I believe Karl Marx and I forgot the other person that helped start communism. It'll come to me, but it seems like if they would have been born like 100 years earlier, France would have probably fallen to communism.
A large crowd stormed and raided the Hotel des Invalides, a military hospital where they were able to secure a large number of rifles. The bad news was they weren't able to find any gunpowder for their new weapons. The good news was they knew exactly where to get some. A prison fortress and a symbol of royal tyranny towering over Paris, the Bastille. Mid-morning, the crowd gathered around the Bastille and demanded that the man in charge, Governor Delaunay, surrender the prison and hand over the gunpowder. Obviously, Governor Delaunay was like, no way. So he stalled for time by inviting a few members of the crowd in for negotiations. The crowd, still waiting outside, quickly became impatient, and before long, they stormed the fortress, taking on the French troops inside. Your Majesty, we've received word that the people have surrounded the Bastille. Governor Delaunay will hold them off. No need to worry. Actually, Your Majesty, it appears the crowd is now headed away from the Bastille. You see? What did I tell you? Clearly, Governor Delaunay has defeated them and has them on the run. No need to worry. Your Majesty, isn't that Governor Delaunay's head on a pike? Well, clearly, Governor Delaunay has taken on the form of a bodiless pikehead deity, and the people are so enamored with him, they're parading him around the city. No need to worry at all. When the National Assembly heard about the violence that had taken place, they had two options. Either one, they denounce it and try to carry on the revolution using peaceful means, or two, they say, damn, you stuck his head on a pike? That's pretty hardcore. And we love it.
That's some metal shit right
they
there.
Went with option number two. Some historians believe this reaction paved the way for the utter violence and bloodshed that would become the legacy of the French Revolution. This widespread acceptance of violence during the Revolution is also largely credited to the writings of a certain Jean-Paul Marat, a man of science with a horrible skin condition that kept...
I don't know if crystal meth was a person. If you could personify crystal meth, it would probably look something like this. That's hilarious.
him confined to a bathtub. He began writing a radical newspaper he affectionately named The Friend of the People. Citizens of France, be very afraid. Given the chance, the king and the nobility won't hesitate to massacre us all. The solution is simple. Execute them. Kill every last one of them. Cut off 1,000 heads. And if that's not enough, cut off 1,000 more. Oh, hey, Mr. Squeaky. What are you doing down there? You're so cute. Aw, I love you too, Mr. Squeaky. Mwah. Now where was I? Oh yeah. Kill them all. It became one of the most popular publications in Paris during the Revolution and succeeded in spreading ever-increasing fear and anger among the people. In August, leaders of the National Assembly, with help from a certain Thomas Jefferson, adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, an incredible document that guaranteed liberty and equal rights to all men. And
see, now I always heard that the American Revolution inspired the French Revolution, but as I was watching this video, I started to think, no, well, it seems more like the American Revolution didn't really inspire it so much as France was broke from helping them, and they just said, you know what, screw it, we're going to start a revolution. So in a way, it was related to the American Revolution, but not like directly inspired. But now they show Thomas Jefferson actually helping influence the group that, you know, was behind the revolution. Hell, maybe this was America's first act of coup d'etat or whatever. Way before the CIA and all other shit. We've been doing it since we were babies. We go way back with it.
And of the Citizen, an incredible document that guaranteed liberty and equal rights to all men. And when I say men, I mean men. Despite its glaring shortcomings in gender equality, the massively influential declaration would go on to inspire the struggle for liberty and equality across the planet for centuries. However, back in France, the vast majority of the people weren't really so concerned with enlightened ideas of equality as much as they were concerned with the fact that they were still starving. Bread was still expensive as hell and hard to come by. The people felt that one reason nothing had been done yet about the crisis was because the king simply couldn't see the problem. He lived in Versailles, a full 20 kilometers southwest of Paris, and as a result, lived in comfort, separated from his dirty, stinking subjects. On October 5th, a crowd of women, 7,000 strong, decided they'd do something unprecedented. They decided they'd remove that separation and confront the king directly. The women marched all the way to the king's palace in Versailles. Along the way, the crowd continued to grow into the tens of thousands, and when they arrived, they demanded an audience with the king. What are those things outside the palace? They're poor people, Your Majesty. That's poor people? They say they're hungry. Hungry? Then let them eat cake. Wow. See, this is the exact BS that led to this whole mess in the first place. You're so out of touch. They're writhing around in the filth.
Love her hair, by the way.
To barely scrape by, and they come to you demanding just the basic ability to feed themselves, and you think a slice of cake will sort them out? Well, then let them eat Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme. Wow.
That's funny. Now, I believe that, well, I've read some places that said that she didn't actually say let them eat cake. That's kind of like a rumor that was started that eventually just carried on. But I don't know off the top of my head fully if that's really what happened. Like I said, that's something that I read. I'd have to go and check out more in depth, but you know, that's something you can try to go and look out for. Because now that there's another source saying it says otherwise, gotta investigate. Or at least I do.
You're so out of touch. They're writhing around in the filth, breaking their back to barely scrape by, and they come to you demanding just the basic ability to feed themselves, and you think a slice of cake will sort them out? Well, then let them eat Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme. Wow. They're not that desperate. Members of the crowd actually managed to break into the palace with the intention of killing the queen, who narrowly escaped through a secret passage in her bedroom. The enraged mob killed several members of the royal guard and raised their heads on pikes, which, if you haven't noticed yet, is something they were quite fond of doing. The king had no choice but to come out and talk to the crowd. He agreed to accept his new position, sharing power with the revolutionary government, and to return to Paris with the crowd, removing the separation between king and subject. King Louis had a problem with people constantly raiding his palace, but one thing he didn't have a problem with was people raiding his computer, because he used NordVPN. If, like me, you don't like hackers stealing your data, password, bank deets, and girlfriend, then you need to check out NordVPN. With over 5,000 servers in 60 countries, it allows you to surf the net anonymously and safely with no personal data logging. It's super easy to use. You can take a trip to a server in Japan with just the click of a button. And while you're there, why not check out some sweet Japanese Netflix? Or maybe you want to watch a certain OverSimplified video that for some reason has been blocked in your country. Well, with NordVPN, you can. NordVPN gives you access to super
I've heard
fast
about
servers
that. The Hitler video was blocked by blocked in certain countries.
Get NordVPN now by clicking the link below, nordvpn.com/oversimplified, and get an amazing 75% off. That's only $2.99 per month with an additional month free for a limited time. And you'll also be helping to support my channel. So again, that's NordVPN.
I'm gonna have to really look into that.
Oversimplified.
That was very informative. I will be checking out the second part in the coming few days, so be on the lookout for that video. I love Oversimplified. I love watching their videos, how informative it is. I know this is a rather old video at this point in time. The reason why I tend to do that is because I want to give the content creator a couple of weeks to try to build up their initial views and everything, and then once everything starts to die down, then I'll go ahead and do a reaction to it. Of course, that wouldn't have to happen if you guys would make sure to go to their channel and watch the video first. If you haven't seen the video, watch it on the original channel first, always, and come back and watch the reaction later. You don't even have to watch the reaction immediately after. Just whenever you got free time, come back and watch the reaction later. It's more important that you watch the original video first. Now, with that being said, I can't wait to see the next part of this video. Yeah, like there was a lot of things that I had heard about the French Revolution and everything, and I did a video where I didn't do a video, but I was watching a video where they actually sat down and talked about Robespierre, and I believe how he turned, like he started, I don't know if he was like ruling the country after the revolution, or if he was like someone that was just high position, or if he was actually the one solely in charge. But I do remember hearing that the power kind of got to his head, and he started like cutting everybody's heads off for no reason, and it got to the point where eventually people just got tired of it and eventually just executed him. Now, only thing I know for sure is what I've seen on the History of the World video, in which case his head was like, well, they made it very quick. They didn't really spend a lot of time talking about the French Revolution, but they did mention that there was it might have been a joke, but I'm wondering if there was actually a period where they thought about like turning him into some type of religious figure, but going against it instead. That could have just been a little joke that they threw out there, but it is interesting. I like to go and look up stuff like that. But anyway, that's been this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. I look forward to seeing you guys in my future videos, but until then, I'm going to give you the deuces. I'm DaVinci. You just been a little bit more enlightened. I'll see you next time.